Good morning. I'm Cheryl Casoni. I'm in for Maria Bartiromo. It is Tuesday. It is May 5th at 7 a.m. on the East Coast. Time for the hot topic of the hour. California Democrat Ted Lieu posting the phrase 8647 on X, directly referencing the slogan at the heart of James Comey's indictment. Congressman framing the post as a prediction of DOJ failure, suggesting the case against Comey would collapse, that he would win damages for selective prosecution, and acting AG Todd Blanche would be disbarred. This is the National Park Service also is investigating graffiti with those same numbers spotted at the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. Plus, there's an investigation underway after the Secret Service shot an armed man near the White House. This was yesterday, briefly putting the area on lockdown. As the president was inside the White House, he was conducting a small business event. Meanwhile, there's this. A federal judge is criticizing the jail conditions for would-be Trump assassin Cole Allen, who allegedly targeted the president at this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. Judge Zia Faruqi slamming the use of extreme measures like 5-point restraints and a safe cell, stating, quote, what am I to say to Allen that is going to be a fair process if we're putting him in a safe cell when he's not supposed to be in there? At a minimum, I should be apologizing to him. The judge also compared Allen's treatment to defendants from the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, stating this: pardons may erase convictions, but they don't erase history. Those folks were all housed in CTF. They were given the benefit of the treatment. None of them were put in a 5-point restraints. They had windows. Just last year, this same judge dismissed a case against a man accused of threatening to kill President Trump while he was in police custody, Liz. That's first thing about this judge, to be clear here. Yeah. He's apologizing to a man that tried to not only assassinate the president of the United States, but also in his manifesto said that he wanted to kill cabinet members. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the American Psychiatric Association's analysis of would-be assassins or assassins, and throughout our nation's history, psychosis and many other mental disorders.
They're not normal.
But you're apologizing to him because he got put in a 24-hour mental health hold suicide watch.
Well, look.
What's wrong here?
Well, this is so stupid, and I'm so sick of judges making these determinations that it's really the criminal who we have to be worried about as opposed to the victim. This is just another example of that. And by the way, you see them all the time, all these judges letting people out who on the streets who have committed heinous crimes. Guess what? Big surprise. They go back and do exactly the same thing a week later. In this case, I think anyone who looks at what this guy did, charging into a room full of Secret Service agents, full of cops, with a loaded gun, firing the gun, was that not a suicide mission?
Correct.
I think everyone expected him to be shot dead, including him. So to put him on suicide watch in jail makes all the sense in the world. I cannot imagine that anyone would think that a wrong thing to do.
So D.C. Judge Jeanine Pirro, or Judge Jeanine, she said this guy thought he was Rambo. That was the soundbite from her that I thought was so interesting because of all the guns and the ammo and he was taking selfies. And that's why I brought up this analysis of would-be assassins, about the mental health disorders that these people have. I pulled it up. Delusional disorders, narcissistic personality disorder, paranoid schizophrenia, extreme grandiose delusions. That is what they say about would-be assassons or assassins over the history of our nation. But this guy is getting an apology from this judge?
Well, and to Liz's point, I mean, if you're planning on attempting to assassinate someone and your expected outcome is for you to be killed yourself, now all of a sudden you're in a jail cell facing life in prison, maybe you want to arrive at that conclusion a different way, right? So, I mean, this judge is an absolute hack. To compare whatever this Cole Allen guy, I mean, he tried to assassinate every single political figure in that room to a January 6th defendant who just was walking through the Capitol. That's not, I mean, that's not even a fair comparison, but that's typical out of these hacks. And it is so common that these judges nowadays, they'll release these criminals right back onto the street and then try to tax people, whether it's New York, whether it's California. And the smart people say, why would I pay 13, 14, 15% tax when I get nothing in return? The streets are filthy. There are homeless people going to the bathroom outside on the sidewalk. There are people getting mugged on the subway. There are people getting killed. So, you know, that's totally a huge issue with these judges just releasing crime right back onto the street.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Every day you see a case of that, and people are getting hurt by it. What if your wife or sister or you were shoved onto a subway track and you found out that person had been arrested 15 times before for similar assault? I cannot understand how people put up with this. And by the way, what is your recourse? Voting these clowns out of office.
Absolutely.
Mark, to your point, here's what U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro said. Welcome to Washington, D.C., where a judge believes a defendant armed to the teeth and attempting to assassinate the president is entitled to preferential treatment in his confinement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's he going to get? Ritz-Carlton service?
Apparently so.
It's ridiculous. So. I mean, it's to your point. I mean, victimizing the villains.
Yeah.
Why? Why are we doing that?
By the way, we talked about this yesterday on the program, but, you know, I think the main call out for James Comey is you're the FBI director. You absolutely knew what 8647 meant when you put that picture up. Like, he absolutely knew what was in that picture. Come on.
He's going to play dumb.
But he's going to play dumb.
I mean, I'm afraid it's not a great case. That's my view, because he can just say, as he did before, I didn't know.
Yeah, actually, Jonathan Turley wrote an op-ed in FoxNews.com and said, look, I am not a fan, of James Comey at all. But this case has got some problems. All right. We are just getting started this hour.